Hello, welcome and namaskar. My name is Ashit Ghosh. I happen to be practicing as a personal development trainer, speaker, and wellness facilitator cum coach for quite some time. This brief presentation is on right of the earth, and I had the opportunity of conducting this brief webinar in the auspices of AHIMSA on the 21st June 2020. So here we go. At the outset, I was thinking about a small story that we read in our textbooks in the primary schools, and that has relevance to the background of my presentation today. So let me share that. The story is about Mahakavi Kalidas, one of the greatest ancient poets of India. When he was a child, and he did not become a poet then, he was a small village folk and he was not considered to be one of the most intelligent ones. So once he was found to be sitting on the branch of a tree and he was busy cutting the same tree. And that was a very dangerous situation when he had a flash and Goddess Saraswati appeared and she woke him up and said, "Hey, you are sleeping, wake up." And that turning point came to be a turning point in life, and he studied hard and he became one of the greatest poets of the world. Now, this is pretty crucial in our present context. Human beings have been sleeping for quite some time, and there are various flashes and the shocks from the nature that has woken them up. And one of the shocks came as the war, because human beings violated the basic rights of humanity, and after the war in 1948, the human community established the human rights as a savior for the future generation. Now, once again, after ages, human being has been asleep. They are put under great slumber. So the current situation, the pandemic that we are facing, has come up as a flashlight, as a shock to wake us up. Wake us up to the cause of Mother Nature, because human beings have assaulted Mother Nature in a vigorous manner, in a very cruel manner. So the wake-up call is to be aware and conscious of the right of the earth. And on this backdrop, let me present my brief presentation today to all of you. Thanks for joining me. Now, in today's presentation, which is very brief, I shall only cover 3 points. First, the backdrop on which we are discussing the right of the earth. And the second, why do we need the right of the earth? And third and the last is, how do we implement it? So let's go right ahead. In the backdrop section, once again we will quickly cover 3 areas. 1, current status. We shall start from where we are standing. If we have to go somewhere, we must know where we are standing. So we'll begin with the current status, and then we shall proceed to find out the cause. What are the cause of the status that we are in? And finally, what are the possible outcome? So in the current status, if you go to the television, news, everywhere, we are talking about basically 2 things. 1, the virus, which has taken over humanity, and it's a very strong thing, creating the disaster, and the whole human race is in great crisis. They are in fear. One thing is virus, on the other thing we are discussing is immunity. These are the only two things which are prevailing in the current status. Now this is very crucial. At this present moment, the virus is strong and the immunity is weak, and that's why we have this disaster, this pandemic. But let's not forget the flip side. You see, when the immunity will become strong, the virus will be weak. This is one thing which we must consider. Today virus is strong, immunity is weak. But we must explore how we can strengthen the tower of our immunity so that we are not affected by virus. That's our goal. So in the current status, immunity and virus are the two things. And what are the causes? Focusing on how to strengthen immunity, we need to explore what is it that jeopardize our immunity, that demolish our immunity, which has caused our immunity system to have become weak so that the virus has taken over. And this is from the medical world, from the scientific research. And it says the cells in your body react to everything that your mind says. So negativity brings down your immunity system. This is very vital. Negativity brings down our immunity system, our thoughts, our mind. And that is the main reason, that is the main cause. When we know that human mind is, and human thoughts are responsible, negative thoughts are responsible for causing this disaster and adversely affecting our immunity system, we should go a step further to explore what is the mother of all negativities. What is that factor from where all negative behavior, negative thoughts, negative ideas, negative attitudes generate? And then you will find it is ego. Ego happens to be the mother of all negative emotions, and it affects the human body and the human psyche in thousands of ways. So, if we are to resolve our problem, and if we have to reverse the present situation, we got to do something about handling our ego. And human ego is certainly not only an individual ego. It is the individual ego which is responsible for negatively affecting our immunity system, weakening our immunity system, but there is an overall collective human ego which is causing the calamity, the disaster, the pandemic. So when we explore the cause, we must be very clear. We repeatedly say we are fighting a war against corona. Is there any war against corona? It's a lifeless thing. So this is very elusive. There is no war against corona. If there is a war, the war needs to be against our own ego. And that's the right approach. Now, what is the outcome? This is very crucial. Give me your attention, please. Outcomes are two. I mean, one out of the two. Either of the two extreme outcomes. There is no midway right now. If we are able to handle our individual and collective ego in the right manner, then there will be one outcome. But if we do a mistake once again, there will be another outcome. So, one possibility, unfortunately, is the extinction of the human race over the whole human community. Like many animals, many vegetables, many minerals have extincted. Now the turn is of humans. Many philosophers, scientists have predicted that we are standing on the threshold of a very critical time. So we need to be very alert. If we don't handle it in the right manner, the outcome can be extinction. But there is a silver lining in the cloud. And that is, if we are able to do the right thing, then the consequence of the outcome will be drastically opposite to extinction. It will be enlightenment. So we have a choice to do the right thing and become enlightened, and the philosophers see the future world of enlightened people. I call it superhumans. If only we did the right thing. And what is the right thing? To be conscious about the right of earth. Just like we have been conscious about the human rights, we have to be conscious about earth rights, and we got to promote it aggressively and create awareness. Now, why? Why we have to think about the right of earth? Simple question. Think. The issue is global or local? What do you think? Of course, it's a global issue. And if we have to resolve a global issue, don't we need global involvement? Don't we need global support? Of course we do. We need to awaken the global community. We got to make them responsible about the right of the earth, and for which we need global strategies, resources, cooperations from all corners. And because it is a global issue and we need global responsibility, global strategies, resources, and cooperation, that's why we got to launch Right of the Earth as a global theme for the humanity. Here is what our great scientist and saint, I would say, Albert Einstein had said. And he said, "With all my heart I believe that the world's present system of sovereign nations can only lead to barbarism, war, and inhumanity, and that only world law can assure progress towards a civilized, peaceful community." World law is what Einstein had advocated, and that's exactly why we need a global awareness and global awakening in favor of right of earth. Now, how this can be implemented? There are two broad strategies. One, creating an awareness. It's not just a physical awareness, external awareness. We need transformation of human thoughts, attitude from inside. So we actually need spiritual awareness. And that's the only way we can change the whole scenario. And doesn't it directly relate with the positive outcome of enlightenment? And the other thing we need is implementation, and that can be done by enforcing global law and educating the global mass on right of earth. Just the same way we have done human rights. Now read this about spiritual transformation. This is by none other than our Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, and he said, "I am part and parcel of the whole and cannot find God apart from the rest of humanity." And about law and education, I have a quote from one of the ex-presidents of United States, Eisenhower, and he said, "The world no longer has a choice between force and law. If civilization is to survive, it must choose the rule of law." So are we convinced about the two strategies, awareness and implementation, spiritual transformation, and implementation of law and an education system in a syndicate manner? Is it possible? Well, I'm personally a die-hard optimist, and I would say it is possible. Because there is enough wrong in people to make law necessary, and enough right in people to make it workable. So, I invite you to create an awareness around you, in your family, in your society, in your community, in your workplace. And that's the only way we can save the humanity from future disaster, and we can bring about a positive outcome and become superhumans. And this is what His Holiness Dalai Lama has to say. Contemplating the suffering which is unbearable to us and is unbearable to others too can produce a awake mind, which arises from the compassion that wishes to free all living beings from suffering. So, with all my best wishes and thanking you for your listening, Namaste.